Hello and welcome. My name is Tolola Falashe, and this is Decrypting Relationships. And with me is,
Olu Benson.
yes, Olu. Before we, go any further, let's just remind people about our disclaimer.
Yeah, like we always say, we are not professionals in relationships. We're not certified to give any advice or counsel people. We're just two people who have a passion for
Yes.
encouraging people to have healthy relationships. Hence, this platform. We just felt we could share from our personal experiences and see and trust that some people will be educated and blessed by those. That's really what
Yes.
we're about.
We are driven by passion
Mm-hmm.
for healthy relationships, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's ugly. Bad relationships are very ugly. We don't want them.
Mm-hmm. And very costly too.
Very costly, unnecessarily costly. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. So, we have been talking about the discovery stage of relationships. So, discovery, what we used to call courtship in our
AKA
own days.
courtship.
So we've had some feedback that nobody uses that term anymore. We need to. So we've updated our language a little bit. So yes, the discovery stage before marriage. And today we're going to talk about love and respect, isn't it?
Yes, that's a
Hmm.
plan.
And the question that you asked me earlier was, can during this courtship period, obviously we've always talked, I mean, you've always emphasized and you emphatically, you know, drilling down on the point that we must open our eyes, right? And just look out for the signals, right? So I think this is a very key one as well, because so while a couple are going through this discovery stage,
Yeah.
um, how are they measuring the level of love and respect that is being exchanged in this discovery stage, right? And
Yeah.
that's what we're going to look into.
Something to that effect. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was just going to ask you to maybe say it in your own words. if I
No, I think you kind of captured it. Yeah.
Hmm,
The
hmm,
idea is just to make sure that we are not overlooking some of the key qualities that we need
yes.
to pay attention to when we're courting.
Hmm,
So, yeah, we have stepped through a few in the last few episodes, and we just, came to talking about respect and love
hmm,
because there is a correlation between those two, and it's just trying to bring it to the table so people are aware that these are things that might seem very irrelevant or very simple when you're courting that you might want to overlook, but they do, and if not well handled, they could really lead to a very unhappy and very bad relationship. So, in order not to get there before it's fixed, we thought we could share some nuggets on what to look out for or how
hmm.
to handle that.
Okay, so I think love is pretty much, I guess, very, we're assuming, right? And I think it's very dangerous to assume, but I think we can pretty much define what love is, right? You're looking out for that person's interest in
Mm.
every way, emotionally, right? And
Yes,
and the like. So what's the difference? What would you say is the main difference between respect and love? And then
that's the
maybe,
thing. That's why I
yeah,
said there seems to be a correlation between the two.
yeah.
Because when you look at, you and I did a quick research earlier and was
Mm,
talking about respect being you having consideration for the other person's feelings, their rights as a person,
mm,
and also just acknowledging who they are. And my thought process is that they work hand in hand
they
because
work hand in hand.
I
Okay.
don't think because love is you celebrating somebody, celebrating who they are, celebrating every area of their life, celebrating the good, the bad, and the ugly sides. You accept them in totality of who they are. And if you can't respect the fact that they're an individual, they have feelings, they have other areas of their lives that might not necessarily be perfect according to your subjective views, then it's difficult to love them if you can't
Okay.
respect all of those.
So let me, as you were speaking, something came to mind. I woke up this morning and I wanted to check the news very quickly, which I don't do. I usually spend my waking moments differently from checking the news. But anyway,
Okay.
I saw something about a very, very I'm not going to mention any names, right? I don't want to name and shame, but there's a very prominent musician from Nigeria, very prominent, who was celebrating. I didn't really understand the story. I think he was celebrating either his second year in marriage, but he's got this other woman who is also very known to be his. I don't even know what word we use these days. He's married, but he's also got this other lady who he's very much attached to. I think who's maybe a baby mama type thing, which is a very, very unfortunate way of describing it. I really don't like that word. But anyway, so it was there. So now the question is this. Maybe we could even use this as a case study. There's this guy who's prominent, is at the top of his game. He's married, but he's also got some other woman, maybe who is very prominent in his life. So
are they still involved relation-wise, or
yes, they are. They are. It's an open. It's common knowledge that he's married, but this other lady is also very involved in his life.
The reason I asked that question is because I know sometimes because you already mentioned the baby mama, so there's a child involved. So I'm trying to be quite objective here to say, is their relationship as a result of their child, or are they having a very personal relationship on top of his marriage?
Yeah, that's what I meant. So he is married, but he's also very openly, actively building an intimate relationship with the other woman, right? So let's talk. Let's use that scenario. Even though we don't know them, but from the outside, where is the love, and how would you then describe is the wife being disrespected? Maybe, I don't know. What would you say?
Obviously, my conclusion is that is not a respectful relationship because the guy is not respecting either women.
Okay,
but I'm always the kind of person, I'm sure by now you know me. I try to play both sides to try and see where either parties might be coming from. You also have to understand potentially the guy's background. And this is why this area of courtship, this stage of courtship in a relationship is very crucial. You need to understand the background of your partner. If this guy grew up in an environment where that was the norm, where you played one woman against the other, or it's okay to openly cheat on your wife and it's acceptable, or he grew up in a home where his mama allowed his father to cheat on her because as long as he does whatever and he's looking after the home, it's all good. That could be an issue. And these are the kind of things we need to look out for. In his mind, he's just doing what an average guy does. That could be his stance. That's all I know. That's what I grew up with, and he was never frowned upon.
And let me say this quickly. Sorry to interrupt. But I want to say this quickly. The reason why I bring this up is because people who are so prominent in society are setting an example, maybe even unconsciously. You understand? Yeah. And I think that's the reason why I'm thinking. Listen, it's important for us to make sure that maybe because our loved ones, our young ones, are watching, and there's an imprint in their, in their psyche about these things.
Yeah. And so it boils down to, because at the end of the day, like it's a general saying that you're a product of your environment, and this is why, for those who are married and who have children, we need to do all we can to make sure that we raise our children in a morally fit, emotionally fit, mentally fit environment. But sadly, which is why this becomes like an insect with so many tentacles, you can't give what you don't have. So it all boils down to each person's foundation. So if my mom grew up in an environment where promiscuity was rife with the women in our family, it'll be difficult for her to train me otherwise. If my father grew up in an environment where the men beat their wives to no, until they were blue in the face so that they could listen, obey them, he wouldn't think there was anything wrong if he did that with my mom. But thankfully, I didn't grow up in either of those messed up situations. So if I grew up there, I'll be a messed up individual. So it'll be difficult for me. So this is where assessing ourselves comes into it. If we need to do counseling, because that's why the very first episode was, you need to be whole in yourself before you bring somebody else's complications on board. Each person needs to do a self-assessment to say, I am seeing these are things and this is where it all comes down to education too. What are the ingredients of a healthy relationship? You hear those ingredients and then you do an assessment. Do I have this and this, and am I lacking? And if you're lacking, if it's counseling that you need to go for to be educated, or for somebody to, because we are not professionals, so we can't counsel anyone. So in listening to this topic, if you then realize that, oh, okay, I'm hearing this, respect is something that's a good ingredient in a good relationship. And I've never known any man or any women to respect me. We just talk to each other like, it doesn't matter, or we just treat each other like, then you need to start looking to fix those. I think that's where I'll stop, so I don't take over the whole thing, because these things got very deep. These areas that people really need to investigate and work on, and make sure you're whole. I can't say that enough times. Please make sure you're whole in your person before you start looking to get into a relationship.
Interesting. Now, as you're speaking, something came to mind. Now,
so what's your take?
My take is this.
Said anything? A lot of things have been coming to your mind, but you haven't said anything. So
no, you know why? Because I want to put a scenario, because a scenario really works for me. That's the way my mind works. Okay. And what came to mind as you're speaking was, my spouse would say to me, I didn't like the way you said, I didn't like the way you, and those were cues for me, right? To say, wow, this is something. If she says, I didn't like the way you XYZ, that was a cue for me to then be aware, because I think sometimes the disrespect. Let me finish that phrase. So understanding what your spouse likes and dislikes, and having quality time to actually, like you said, reflect on what is being said is very important for me. This is where we're taking time to, because I think love is, like you said, love and respect work hand in hand. So if I respect my spouse, I'll take time to know what their dislikes are, and then understand precisely what is behind that door. If know what, every time my spouse says, oh, I didn't like the way you said XYZ, I'd like to know what is behind the door, because maybe I said it, in a way that I didn't think was disrespectful. So by me then making some inquiries and digging deeper, that is my measure of saying, I love you and I respect you enough to want to find out why you didn't like the way I said what I said.
Great. So that ties into our definition of respect in terms of giving due regard for the other person's feelings.
Feelings, exactly.
But could I take you back just a few minutes into this conversation? The scenario that you set with the guy, what would be, because that is the other thing, because the reason I'm throwing this back at you is the fact that I have spoken with quite a few young people in their late 20s, early 30s who are at the marrying age. And their disposition has always been that it's almost something that's expected for the spouse to cheat.
Oh, wow.
It's worrying. So when they hear that their spouses have cheated, then, some of them tell me, or have told me, that they'll rather their spouses cheated than for her to actually, or him to leave. Because at least they know that they still have there's a partner there, even if the partner was cheating. And that is something that just, I don't know how it's just such a sick mentality that they assume it's okay, it's expected. It's not even like oh, maybe, if you're unlucky, it happens. It's almost like expected to happen because, like you said, it's rife in the social media. It's almost like an accredited thing. You do it and you have street cred or whatever they call it. And this is why we need to diffuse the minds of those of us who are God-fearing, that we're not street cred people. We're God-cred people. And what are the values that we are expecting to bring into our homes? What's our mentality? Where does the word of God come into our relationship? Because these things that we're touching on, they're not just things that we're talking about because we just feel like, oh, we're bored, let's just talk. We're talking because we're coming from the fact that as God-fearing people, we need to reflect the values of God in our homes. And it starts from the foundation. Yeah. So in your mind, what would you then say with regard to this, the scenario that you laid out with this very prominent person carrying on with two women in public and not being apologetic for it?
Well, I think you answered the question nicely at the beginning when you said, it really depends on his background. So this particular person may have come from that background where it was okay, to be married and obviously have an open relationship with a different person as well, right? Yeah. But I think within the context of our conversation, this is a tough one. Why did I bring this up? Why did I use this scenario? But I think the reason why I brought this up, I think I know why. I just want to take this opportunity to say, maybe appeal to those who are in the public eye, who maybe the young people look up to be, yes, their private life is their private life, but they shouldn't use those kind of scenarios openly and maybe just make people feel that. Because like you said, some of these things drive people's quest to be popular, to be seen as cool. It's not cool.
Yeah.
If my daughter, because I'm a dad now, if my daughter was somebody's side piece, I would be devastated. I would be crushed. I would be, you understand, very, very disappointed at myself. Not at my daughter, at myself, And I think maybe that's the reason why, we have the passion for these things, because nobody's daughter, whether daddy was around or not, deserves to be some kind of side piece. No way. So my I think I don't care how whether I sound uncool right now, but I just really think it is this very, very, very disrespectful. In that I read it and I was actually felt very what's the word? I didn't feel happy about that kind of reading that kind of thing, because I just really felt the whole structure of the family unit, what family stands for, was just being insulted. What relationships mean is being insulted, because relationships should be exclusive. It should be special. It should be everyone deserves. Now they may say, okay, you know what? It's hard to find relationships out there, man. Or whatever. A good woman, whatever it is. But the fact is, you will attract the right person. Where if you give yourself the time. Sometimes we're too much in a hurry, or there's pressure. External pressure. So yeah, I mean, that's my feeling.
And just to add something quickly from a woman's viewpoint, because I know some because we're very heart on hand. Most women, a lot of women are. We wear our hearts on our sleeves. That's how we're wired more often than not. We tend to go. Sometimes you don't assess the fact that somebody says "I love you." Like they say, actions speak louder than words. No matter how many times a guy who behaves like that tells you they love you, trust me, there is no such thing. That is not love. To both women, or as many women as are caught, because some even don't do just one after marry. They do multi.
Wow.
And they keep telling the one at home, oh, you're this. They spring all this catchphrases. And the one at home, oh, as long as it comes home, it's mine. I'm like, it's not yours, because it's literally, it's been selling himself on the streets. It's like you're home with a harlot. He puts it about all day, and as long as it comes home to me, it's mine. No, it's not yours, and it can't be healthy for you. So please, no matter how, and even the ones that are being used as a side chick or side whatever, please know that such a person could never love you.
You deserve better.
Exactly.
Much better.
You need to speak to yourself to let yourself know you do not deserve to be treated like that.
Yes.
And don't put yourself in a position where you think that's all you can settle for. So please, let's just build. That's why, and I think a lot of these things stem from very low self-esteem. Because no girl who thinks highly of herself, who thinks she's worth, a diamond, who thinks she's a diamond, not even worth it, who thinks she's a diamond, would allow anybody to just, mess with her, because your worth. So please.
Yeah.
Men, women, boys, girls, let's work on ourselves. Let's be sure we're 100% in who we are. We have that confidence in who we are before we allow that. And that's really where this whole thing comes back to again. The two women probably have very low self-esteem of themselves, and they think it's okay. Everybody else does, or a lot of people do it, so it's all good. No, it is not right, and it is not good.
No, and it's just like everything we've been saying on the program, which is everything starts with you, doesn't it? We've said that from the beginning. If you want somebody to love you, you start by loving yourself first. If
Amen
you want
to that.
Amen to that. You want somebody to respect you, you respect yourself to the highest level. If you don't feel complete, somebody out there will not complete you. You just have to find the right, investigate, find out what it takes to feel fulfilled and whole. Maybe not, when I say perfection, to feel whole. No one out there can make us feel whole, and the situation with this scenario that we talked about, and you picked it very, very nicely. If there was an unfortunate situation where there was a child involved with this other lady who isn't married to him, of course, you want him to be involved in the child's life, and show respect as well, in front of his child with the mother, that, what, I'm not here, but whatever, I'm going to show respect. Not treat her like a property or something that he owns, without any real commitment. So there's a lot of things happening here. Commitment is a key thing. I think a lot of people are scared of committing, and it's important. And that's what life is about. But
he committed to the wife at home.
Oh no, I'm talking about, why would, absolutely. But why wouldn't he? If she was good enough, if the wife is good enough to be committed to, why is, the other lady not then being committed to? Because you understand, if you're going to have your cake and eat it, it's not fair on the lady, and I think that's what I mean.
To address that, the best commitment he can have to the other woman is with the child. To commit to the child and look at there shouldn't be any commitment to the woman, because the minute you got married, that woman has no relationship with you other than the fact that she's your baby mama. Sorry for no lack of a better expression.
Yeah.
That is really all there is to that relationship. Anything outside of that is totally disrespectful to both women.
Absolutely. So,
but that was that scenario. I'm sure we drilled down into that. So, throwing it back at you, what other areas do you think disrespect could be exhibited?
Yeah. So I think I already mentioned, how we speak to each other. It's a very, very key area. Our conduct is another very key area. So, it's like you said, I think the whole idea of it's okay for him to cheat as long as he comes back, I think it's usually the he, not the she, right? Because I don't think
Trust
I don't
me,
know.
things
I
are
don't know. This is
the
alien to me, so you have to
from
help me
what
out.
from some of the stories I've heard, the
Hmm,
retaliation now is that the girls now go out and see who outdoes who. If he
I
thinks he
see.
can do it, well, I can do it better.
Right.
So you have all this messed up relationships whereby they think by sleeping around or cheating on each other, that is retaliation. I'm thinking you're killing yourselves because you don't know what you're contracting or who you're meeting up with or what you're getting yourself into on the
Entanglements.
name of retaliation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So please, we need to do this because it's you don't. That's not respectful of yourself. It's not
Yeah.
respectful of your relationship. And if you have children, you're just raising a messed up set of children who think that is the norm.
Yeah. So going back to the question, how we speak with one another is a measure of respect. Um, how we our conduct with one another is a measure of respect. Even how we
Mm-hmm.
speak about others when they're not
Yeah,
present, I think is also a huge measure of respect.
I think someone said so. Just to that, someone
Yeah.
shared a joke. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know where they got it from. That they this is because I'm a woman, so I'll know the male side. That the best way to know how your spouse, you being a woman,
Mm,
will behave or react to you is for you to listen to how he speaks about his mother.
mm, mm.
And I thought, that is so true. That is so true. At least from experience, I know it's so true. I've been married now for almost 27 years. I've known my husband for just over 30 years. And that is so true. And those are telltale. We're just giving you nuggets here. Those are telltale signs.
Yeah.
If your
Yeah.
spouse, as a woman, I don't know how it is with the women, but if your spouse, if whilst you're courting, never shows any care or whatever. Maybe some extenuating situations might be an exemption to this norm in the sense that if they were from an abusive mom who they decided to cut ties with because of that abuse, that's a different situation. But there is no story of abuse, and that is just a normal family. And your spouse has, you being a woman, has nothing respectful or, shows no care or concern towards their family or their mom in particular. You need to start checking those telltale signs. Start
Yeah.
digging to start finding out what went down there. And if there are no
Yeah.
horror stories there, then there's a problem.
And I think what you just mentioned now is another good indicator. It sounds like a technical word, but if you are in the discovery stage with someone, you need indicators, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
way, for example, you're a lady, you're dating or or discovered, even though what you guys did these days. Well, um, you're exploring with this person, with this guy, the way he speaks about other women and his mother, and these
Mm-hmm.
are indicators of what's going on in his life, in his
Yeah.
head. And this the respect, isn't it? It then begins to pour out from their mindset, isn't it? So that,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
what we're talking about. So the
Because if
indicators
if
are
it,
there.
if it talks carelessly or
Mm,
loosely or disrespectfully about other
yeah,
girls that
yeah,
he knows, when your back is turned.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah.
I something popped into my mind again, like it always does. I don't know why it always pops into.
It's
Um,
proper.
Now I know that when we get older, like I'm older now, I think I'm a lot more. I would say I'm a lot more sensible, with the way I conduct myself. And I really want to put it out there that, obviously I've not always been sensible. So I'm not saying it's easy. We learn this lesson sometimes the hard way,
Mm-hmm.
but also it takes effort to learn these things, right?
Yeah.
So I think what I'm just trying to put as a caveat is that um you said, we've been saying it, and we said it earlier on today as well, that we must take time to reflect,
Yeah.
reflect on how we are engaging with people, how we are engaging with those that we are exploring, you know, going into relationship with. Take
Mm-hmm.
time to explore. Don't get, um, don't let the excitement cloud your judgment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
an old saying that they say love is blind. but marriage is an eye opener.
Don't wait until marriage before your eyes are
Before
open.
your
So
eyes
that's why
open.
there's a common joke now where we're from that says shine your eyes.
Shine, exactly. So please take time to reflect. Why did he say that? Why did she say that? Why did he behave like that? And then ask the questions. Don't answer the questions yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Find the right time to ask openly. And whatever method you communicate effectively, find a way
Yeah.
to find the right answers, please.
Just
That's
try and be very observant.
yes.
Don't make your courtship stage a joke,
Hmm.
whereby everything that could be a telltale sign of misbehavior or very worrisome behavior, you just feel, well, she didn't mean that. Oh, she's just a joker. Oh, he's just a joker. They talk
Banter
to you,
in it.
they disrespect you openly in front of your friend. She's just crazy. Oh, it's just, I'm like, please don't make excuses for them, because when you guys start to get mature in that relationship, those things become an issue, because then you want to be respected by the person you call your partner. Maybe when you're dating and all you do is just go to dinner, what they say might not really matter. But when it becomes a serious relation where you're thinking, oh, we can take this further, you don't want to get to the point where you have children and your spouse doesn't know how to talk to you, because you've encouraged, everything's been written off as a joke. You have guests in your house and they don't know how to address you, because all through your journey, you've allowed them to get away with talking to you anyhow. And then you're married and you're thinking, uh-oh. And maybe your friends are, drawing your attention to the fact that, why do you guys talk to you? And your kids grow up thinking, just open your mouth and say whatever comes out without even processing it. So please, let's be mindful of those things. Even if they started as a joke and they didn't matter, by the time you start investing real time and effort into that relationship, you need to start being honest and say, okay, babe, whoever is calling the other babe, I think we need to bring this down now a few notches. We're now mature people. This does no. So let's be honest about it.
Very, very important. Very important. So we make those reflections. We have the good, honest, open conversation, and then make sure we set the standards, right? Because, like you said, we need to then agree, isn't it? That please don't speak like that in public, or I don't like,
Yeah.
just have that open and then set the standards.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what if there's somebody listening here saying, oh yes, that's easy for you guys to say, what if and I can almost guess your response. What's it? Okay, couple of people, no, there's a couple exploring, and maybe one isn't so receptive, they're not really responding, like, so say for example, let's use you and I for example. Say we were not courting, we're discovering, and and you said to me, oh, I didn't like the way you spoke in front of your friends to me like that. And I'm like, girl, come on, can't you take a joke? Why are you so sensitive? What's the matter now? Get used to it. That's how we are. That's how we joke. Do you want me to now change when, because of you, I'm with my friends? This is this is who I am. But it really, really hurts you the way I spoke about you, I spoke to you, or what I said. What would you advise somebody listening, or maybe even suggest, recommend, since we don't advise, maybe recommend or
Personally,
suggest? Yes, tell me.
I haven't been in that situation before,
Yeah.
but should I find myself in that position,
Okay.
we will have to reassess, because that's already an indicator that
Mm-hmm.
this guy is not a listener.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is all about what works for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact that he was comfortable just making me look small in that setting didn't bother him. And even after I drew your attention to the fact that you made me feel irrelevant or whatever, and he said, oh, that's how I roll. No. You need to start checking those things, that if this is how he rolls, do I know how he rolls and I'm not there? Because if he was that disrespectful to your face, do you know the kind of jokes he cracks about you just to entertain his friends when you're not there?
So this comes back to the self-respect we're speaking of earlier on.
Exactly.
Very
So
good.
don't be scared to cut your losses if some signals that could, because if that person is like that and they don't even listen to such a simple thing, when you start looking at bigger issues or bigger things, which definitely will come your way, because we've been in this situation. I met my husband about 30 years ago. We courted for almost 4 and got married. So you can imagine further down the line, you now thinking, okay, if I never corrected all this, because once you get settled and you start mentioning these things, the partners, now you're growing wings. Now you have put the ring on it.
Growing
Everything is
wings.
not an issue. Yeah, I put the ring on it, and now you're complaining. You didn't complain when I spoke to you like that when we're courting, and now you've got the ring, and now stressing me. These are the reasons why all these things need to be addressed.
Yeah.
So that'll be my take on it. But it looks like we're running out of time.
Yes.
So
I think, to recap for me, and then I'll let you do your recap. I think it's very, very important to keep our standards very high. We mustn't settle for anything less, right? It's important to reflect, isn't it? Yeah. And I think the third one for me is what you just said here. Do not be afraid. Please, if you're out there listening to this, do not be afraid to walk away if what you see is ugly. Because I'm not saying to dismiss everyone, but if you see that this person is not even willing to change, they're not even willing, they don't acknowledge your pain, they don't love you, if they cannot respect you enough. So it sounds harsh, but listen, this life, we don't want to make mistakes in this, one of the most important areas of our lives, which is like marriage. What about you, Olu?
Well, my short conclusion will be, they say love conquers all. So if this spouse loves you enough, then they will respect your feelings, your opinions, and who you are. And that is why we say there's a correlation between love and respect.
Yeah.
But if every time you raise an issue as to how negatively they've made you feel and they dismiss it, such a person couldn't love you, because nobody likes to hurt whomever they love. And if they're doing it deliberately, anyway. It's a terribly red signal that guy or the woman, there's an issue. So please don't overlook it. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. They're just like that. No. If it doesn't work for you, for them being like that, then don't try to change them. If they can't reason with you, don't say, I'll change her when we're married. You'll change when we're married. No. So if they're not willing to compromise for you and listen to you when you're at the best state where you're putting your best foot forward, they're not likely to do it when it's all settled and the ring is on it. And that's where I conclude.
Thank you very much, Olu. So guys, please share this, the podcast with your friends, with your families, subscribe, send us comments, questions. Yes. We will attend to them, and we'll respond at some point. And I'm going to sign out by saying, look after yourself, look out for yourself, and keep your relationships healthy. Olu, any last words?
And I'm going to say, to your own self, be true.
Yes.
Because if you're true to yourself, then you're in a better position to assess your relationships and ensure that they're healthy for you.
Amen to that. So, until
note,
next time.
It's been a wonderful session sharing our thoughts with you, our experiences with you.
Yes.
We hope you've been blessed. And until next time, Tolu.
Bye from me. Be safe.
Bye-bye. Take care.